Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time. Here we are on a Thursday afternoon at 2 p.m. Eastern. We're going to make sure to get you up before 3 p.m. Eastern. We'll have our giveaway at the end, so make sure you are paying attention to our presentations today because the answer to our question is in the slides. So please write down notes, questions, comments, feedback on your loose leaf paper notes app, or even use the Q&A pane, which you can expand or minimize as part of the GoToWebinar software. But make sure you're literally watching this entire presentation from myself and with Eric from Allianz, because there's a lot of nuggets in here. And the goal is to change the way you sell and position IUL, okay, to make more sales. And think about this. It's the perfect time to bring up an IUL solution, right? With the market the way it is today, right? It's like a free fall. We all know what's going on around us, and there's never been a better time for you to reach out to your clients and say, hey, what about this safe alternative, right? For peace of mind, tax savings solutions, right? For liquidity. I mean, think about guarantees. Think about, guaranteed locked in floors on the minus side, and then on the plus side, everything to gain. So it's just a great sales strategy, and it's a great time for you to reach out to your entire book of business, right? And even your friends, neighbors, networking group, whatever it is. And we have a literally complete turnkey marketing library to help you get the word out on social media, through eBlast, through the Ringy text service if you're using that, whatever it is. We have everything already built for you, and JC can even help you co-brand it with your name and logo. Okay, so it takes zero effort, just a phone call or email to JC, and we'll get you up and running. But I'm just super excited, obviously not about the market, but what about the timing for agents to plant the seed and sell more product to help you, these families, right, and supplement your income is the name of the game. So here we are, fast forward. We're literally a week away from the annual Agent Expo, okay, which, by the way, Allianz is a sponsor, and Eric will be there presenting live, so you'll get to meet him face-to-face, and we're very proud to call Allianz a partner and welcome them to the annual Expo. In fact, they've been there for the last 4 or 5 years. But anyway, like it or not, they are the number one selling IUL product and carrier in the space. Not just here at Levinson, okay, but industry-wide. So, you hear about like American National, Anico, just a couple of weeks ago announced that they're not going to be in the life business any longer, right? Again, great timing, great storytelling, great situation for you, again, to reach out to these customers, okay? Think about it. So there's so many reasons why I'm excited. You should be excited about the timing, the presentation, the IUL sale and story, all the above. And I'm not going to go into each bullet here, okay, but when you think about IUL, and yes, we have other carriers and products that are good, okay, but none like Allianz IUL product, and you can see all the bells and whistles in front of you. And the proof is in the pudding when you look at the numbers, okay, because every year the IUL premium is increasing here at Levinson and industry-wide. So again, you're at the right place. And I think once you get your arms around the story, the product, the solution, and what can be done, okay, especially with the rate lock feature, I think you'll be off to the races. Let's keep moving forward. I don't want to waste any time. We're going to go into our second slide here, and then basically I'm going to run for like 5 minutes. Eric's going to take the wheel, and he's going to go over his presentation. When he's done, I'll take the wheel back. We're going to go over some sample social media IUL posts that are doing great right now. I think it's important so you can have some great ideas to put out there on your social platforms and eBlast. So make sure you're on until the end, and then we'll have our Apple iWatch giveaway at the end. So you got to answer first and correctly. Okay, number one, most important to us is our customer. Who is our customer? It's our agent, our GA, our agencies. Okay, obviously we don't sell on a retail level. Our job is to wholesale, distribute products, and come to you with the best service possible. Number one, okay? 99% of the time, if there's a 1% chance something does get dropped pick up the phone or send me or Carrie an email directly. We'll do our best to jump in and try to turn a negative into a positive for you. Okay? Real fast, top left-hand corner, Angela, case manager. When you see this from Richard, Angela, you go beyond your requirements. Thanks for working with us on the challenging issues. That's the world to us. Keep sharing on our Google reviews page, on our Levinson Facebook page. Okay, you got a free IUL prospecting book. Keep sharing, please. Okay, this is what makes the team feel great at the end of the day. Okay, we got a bunch of these. We do a team lunch for the staff. So always jump in. Feel free to share. Right top right-hand corner, Alfreda got great help today with the e-app. Thanks again from me and the client. On the bottom, another case manager and marketer, Josh. Charisma and Josh went the extra mile to get what should have been an easy conversion. Thanks for your guidance to get the job done. Mike, that's what it's all about. Okay, so yes, we love this stuff. Let's keep moving forward. What I want to talk about next, and it is so important, probably literally the most important thing you will and should do all year long. Okay, it's the one training you can't miss. It's free. There's no reason why you should not be here in South Florida on the beach. Okay, it's literally 78 degrees today, and I think the weather is going to be similar next week. Next Friday, Annual Agent Expo. Okay, we have 12 core carriers that are presenting life and annuity this year. So we're going to do things a little different. We have 3 keynote speakers. Okay, think about this. 1 dedicated to annuities, 1 to life insurance, 2 for your own life, to get yourself in gear mentally, physically, to be in the right mindset every single day. Okay, we have Mr. Mike Savage, who's Tony Robbins' right-hand man for the last 20 years. So he's one of the 3 keynotes. You're going to love this. In fact, we're giving away our second keynote, Mary Reed. We're giving away her book to all of the attendees. And again, no charge. We have a network lunch. We have breakfast. We have snacks throughout the day. We'll have almost 300 people there. So just make sure you're RSVP'd. I can't encourage you enough. You can't miss this day. It's one day. Okay, it's a Friday. So you can't miss it. You got to RSVP by tomorrow. End of business. Okay. By the way, right-hand side, we're giving away over $5,000 in cash. Apple MacBook Air, Apple, what do we have? We have earbuds, Apple watches, and then, like I said, thousands of dollars of cash we're giving away. So throughout the day, but you got to be there. Let's keep moving forward. Okay. Next up, and I just have, 2 more slides here, 3 more slides, and Eric will take it. These are very important. Here's why. So you as an agent, I don't care if you've been doing this for 42 and a half years, you're a CLU, CHFC, securities license, kudos, that's great. But you got to be relevant. You got to be able to pivot as a successful agent in today's world, okay, especially with AI, with all the latest technology. There's a lot of moving parts now in our business, right? It was like kind of a dinosaur old age for the last 20, 30 years. And then when COVID hit, right, 2020, 2021, things went literally like twin turbo speed, okay? So you got to be in the loop. You got to know what's going on. And these are 2 great courses that will help you stay current, okay, and help you pivot. So when you're speaking to a new client about a new concept in 2025, you know what direction to go in. You can answer intelligently, right? And you know what's going on. You know about the latest e-apps and strategies across the board. So these are 2 free courses. The middle one is literally, they're both very important, but the middle one is Life of the Southwest, and that is going to give you your living benefits certification. Okay, it's a 2-hour complimentary webinar. The only caveat, you must be appointed with Levinson and LSW. Okay, on the right-hand side, this is another one you can't miss, and Eric is actually the teacher. Okay, this is our IUL 1-hour master class. Okay, so these are 2 complimentary trainings, can't miss. 1 just on IUL, 1 is strictly on living benefits in 2025. Okay, very, very important. 3 hours of training, free. Those are the dates. We'll also include this in the thank you email. Okay, my next slide is top IUL carriers at Levinson. It's our job to pick out the best carriers and products for every type of situation or client that you come across. But you are going to notice top left corner, you're going to see Allianz. They were our number one selling IUL in 2024. Okay, so there's a reason why. Also, they come and think about this. Our free scholarship program will go to every client or every insured that you sell an IUL to. Okay, so that's another layup. And here's the best part: your competition, even if they have Allianz and they're trying to pitch the same product, it's okay. You're giving little Johnny or Shelly a 1-year scholarship to any of our 430 colleges across the country. Okay, very, very important. Allianz top left corner. Let's keep moving forward. What I want to share next is our newsletter. So with everything going on right now, okay, and we know there's a lot, okay. I've been in the business 26 years now, and I've never seen anything like this. So you need to keep your finger on the pulse on the life and annuity side, and this is our newsletter that's going to come to your email inbox every other week. It's just an image you click on, and you can check out whatever carrier, tech, or whatever latest and greatest products are here or went away. Whatever the case is, it's going to be here in our 411 newsletter. Okay, these are our incentives going on right now as we speak. And again, the best part, at the expo next Friday, over $5,000 in giveaways. So don't miss that. Let's move over to the right-hand side, March Madness. We have 3 different brackets going all the way up to the top, $300 plus 10 free orphan leads. Okay, that's life or annuity. Middle section, we still have the annuity contests going on, and that goes all the way up to $1,250 cash by selling FIA products with Levinson. Insure Me Now Direct. First application gets you $100 cash, and then top left corner is our supplemental products by Manhattan Life, and that starts at $75 per app and goes up. Let's keep moving forward. Our final slide here is Mr. Eric Johnson. He's going to take the wheel, personal friend of mine, great VP. And again, you'll see him live next Friday. Eric, you there?
I am here. Can you hear me?
Yep, loud and clear.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thanks, Bill. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Really appreciate it. Today, we'll get into essentially what Bill talked about, right? Why Allianz Life, right? Why are we the number one IUL carrier? What is setting us apart from the competition? What are we doing right? And why are more and more people starting to look to us when it comes to that IUL? Before I get into that, I do want to quickly do just a hit for that Levinson Expo next week, guys. Today, we're going to kind of do a little more high level, right? Why Allianz, talk about ratings, talk about some of the really cool features. And then next week, in person at this Expo, I'm going to actually be doing a 20-minute in-depth case study where I'm actually be going through actual clients of how they have utilized this IUL. So if you haven't registered, I would highly, highly, highly recommend you do it. Especially given all those giveaways. I mean, Bill, I'm thinking do the carriers, are we allowed to get some of that $5,000? Because if so, I'm in. I love that.
Love it.
But with that, guys, like I said, I could not recommend this more. That Levinson Expo was amazing. The Levinsons obviously know how to really put on a really good event, and every year I really look forward to going. So I'm really excited to be there. Hopefully you guys are there. If you are, please come up, say hi, let me know, hey, we were on the webinar, now we're here in person, want to talk more, so it's great. So today, here's the kind of things we're going to cover. I'm going to try to be respectful of time. I know you got some stuff here at the end that you want to give away, so I'll be very respectful of that. We're going to talk about the company's strength. It's important to know who you are doing business with, right? You are trusting your clients and their retirement with this company. It's important to know and say with confidence, hey, they are X-rated. Right? Hey, they are at a 90X Comdex score rating. It's important to know that they are going to be there for the next 10, 20, 40, 50, 100 years. So knowing the company strength of who you're putting your client's money with is very important. Loan flexibility, being able to access that money. The IUL is a great product for building up that cash, but that is not the end game. The end game is what? Pulling it out. And how do you pull that out the most efficient way possible? I'm going to show you. Indexing innovation. I love this one. Really just, you guys get to see kind of a timeline of how Allianz has really been at the forefront when it comes to our indexes and how more and more carriers are trying to play catch up and implement things that we've already been doing. We'll talk about some of those bonus opportunities. We'll hit that index lock, absolute game-changing feature that we rolled out in 2019. And then lastly, I'll just quickly hit some digital tools, talk about our risk class or our underwriting program, and the $3 million of, up to $3 million of death benefit for no medical records needed. So that's been huge. So talk about company strengths, right? We are, as you can see here, guys, the 67th largest company in the world. We are owned by Allianz SE in Germany. And so you are essentially, you're doing business with a powerhouse. Right? You are doing business in one of the biggest companies on the planet. And you can see here on that last bullet point, guys, we are the #1 ranked insurance brand globally. So when you do business with Allianz, you are very confident saying, hey, they're going to be around for a very long time. But to me, ratings kind of speak volumes, right? And so when you see here, guys, reputation is everything. And when you do business with a carrier, in my mind, I want to be with the A team. You can see here, there's quite a bit of A's across this board here, right? AA rated, A+ rated. But that last one there, that Comdex score, right? 96. That is extremely important and powerful. I've been told I've read many books on this. Anyone that is below 90, they've been told that, hey, maybe you should look at some other carriers. You want to be at 90 or above. This thing is rated from 1 all the way to 100. Allianz is at 96 as of January this year. So when you're doing business with carriers, and it maybe not be Allianz, that's okay. But make sure you kind of peel under the hood and take a look. Hey, how reliable is this carrier? What is that Comdex score rating? If it's an 80 or a 70, it's like, hey, maybe we should look at something else just to be able to have that confidence to look in your client's eyes and say, hey, they're 96 rated on this Comdex score. They're going to be around for a very, very long time. I love this slide. So Allianz, we are built for cash value accumulation. With that, we are not able to have a ton of guarantees within our product, right? Because we want to make sure that this thing is running in the most efficient way possible. Guarantees cost a lot of money. When you want to build up cash, sometimes you don't have a ton of guarantees in it. But Allianz said, well, we actually do have quite a bit of guarantees within our product, right? You see here, we got 5 guarantees and a quote non-guaranteed product. You have a guaranteed floor of 0%. Bill mentioned the market is doing what it's doing. I looked at it today and I almost had a heart attack, right? My 401k is literally getting crushed. The Allianz IUL has a guaranteed floor of 0%. So think about that. When the market's down 1,500 points because of new tariffs being put on, your clients are panicking. They're calling their asset managers. They're calling, probably you guys saying, hey, what's going on with my investments? What's going on with my brokerage account? And, not very good. And then you could say, but guess what? We have this other level that we put some of your money into, and guess what that's doing today? You're at a 0. And they're going to say, wow, thank you. Right? They're going to thank you knowing when things are going terrible here, they have this other lever that you put them in that is protected. We have guaranteed. We have 3 different bonus opportunities. I will touch on those here in a little bit. The rate lock, that is guaranteed to be there for the life of the contract. Absolute game-changing feature that essentially gives your clients the ability to lock in profits each and every year. We have a guaranteed 5% max index loan rate. With rates doing what they're doing and tariffs going on and all these things, right now you probably cannot, I bet money on that almost, walk into a bank and get a loan for 5%. Guess what? That same product that you put your client in that has that guaranteed floor of 0%, they have a max that they can borrow at 5%. So their highest they're ever going to be charged to borrow money is 5%. That whole be your own banker, it's right there. Extremely powerful. When you are able to borrow from your own product at rates you can't get at banks, that starts to open up some eyes. That starts to get people's attention. And that's not the only loan structure that we have, and I'll touch on that here in a little bit. And lastly, guys, as things change, life changes, people change, you have that guarantee to change your allocations and loan options as you see fit each and every year. Guaranteed. Guaranteed to make those changes. So the name of the game, guys, when you look at this slide and you think of Allianz, I want you to think flexibility. Your clients have the control. This is not a, hey, you got to pay into this thing till you're 100. If you want to take out a loan, you got to make that decision right now before it goes in force. This is a, hey, things change. People change. Life happens. And Allianz IUL changes with you. talk about that loan flexibility. So we have for two different loan structures when it comes to taking out your money, accessing that money, and that's what Allianz wants you to do. Our policies are literally structured so you can take money out in retirement age, and that is when the COI charges, that is when the expenses actually dip. It is designed for you guys to take money out. That is what our product is built for. This is that other lever, like I talked about, guys. This is where you take your clients, they got the 401ks, they got the brokerage accounts. This is that other idea, and it is going to be utilized in so many different ways. But one of the ways when you want to access that money in retirement or whatever it may be, maybe you got to pay for college. Maybe you want to do a remodel on the house. Well, if I go get out a loan right now from a bank, I'm going to get charged like 8%. Oh, yeah, I got this IUL. The max I can get charged is 5%. Let's borrow from that. Awesome. Oh, and it's got a guaranteed 0% floor, too. So two different loan structures. We have a fixed loan and a participating loan or an index loan. On the left-hand side, you see there we got a fixed loan. The first 10 years, we're going to charge you 2.91% and credit 2. So essentially, it's a 0.91% loan. That's very low. We see the fixed loan option a lot when people say, hey, I want to repay this in the next 1 to 5 years maybe, because that interest rate is so low. In years 11 plus, guys, 1.96 is what we're going to charge you. We're going to credit 2%. So it's essentially a wash loan. Now, on the other side, like I mentioned, we have that index loan or participating loan. 5%, never going to change for the life of the contract. Interest rates can go to 20. Guess what you're borrowing money at on an index loan with Allianz? 5%. Now, the way this one works is you take out a loan. We're going to charge you 5, but now you can allocate that loan money into any of the indexes that we offer. So now you have the opportunity to actually capture positive arbitrage. You actually have the opportunity to make money on borrowed money. And I'll take it one step further. You mentioned me briefly say something about a rate lock feature. You can actually lock in profits. You can do that with loaned money. If you're borrowing money at 5 and that index that you took that loan out on is up to 8%, guess what? Make a phone call, click a button online, lock in that 8% for the year. You just made 3% on borrowed money. Not a whole lot of products out there you can do that with. So the name of the game, flexibility, but also pulling money out, taking this out. We want you to use this. That's what it's designed and built to do. And I talk about flexibility. 2 different loan structures. You can allocate loans 50-50 split if you want to. You don't have to do one or the other. Both and. That's a little teaser for next week. Both and. It's not either or. It's both and. That's Allianz. 50-50 split. Hey, this year I think I'm going to repay this loan. I'll do a fixed loan. You know what? Things have changed next year. I'm actually not going to want to repay this loan. Great. Let's try to make some positive arbitrage. Oh, I want to do a 70-30 split. No problem. Every single year, you get to make that decision and make the changes accordingly based on what's happened with your client's life. Every single year. You go on index loan one year, the next year you go into a fixed, no problem. However you want to do it, you and your client get to decide that. Let's talk about some indexing innovation, guys. So Allianz, like I mentioned, they've been at the forefront of kind of changing the IUL game. And they really have been. You can see here by this timeline. Right, we've come up with some incredible, unique, different indexes and innovations within these indexes. The ones that I really like to focus on within this slide is looking at 2019 with that index lock and then looking at 2024. Those 2 features, absolute game changer that have gotten other carriers to go, whoa, we got to make some changes. Look at what Allianz is doing. Huge. A lockable S&P 500 index? Are you kidding me? Tell me someone that has that. Tell me someone that can lock in any of their indexes. Allianz is the only IUL carrier, guys, that offers that. Now, here's the average rate of return of our in-force block of business since 2006. Numbers speak for themselves. Typically, we're seeing illustrations ran at about 6%. You can now confidently look at your clients because you're going to get this question. I almost guarantee it. hey, how likely is this to actually hit this return that we're showing in this illustration? Well, it's a great question. Yes, Allianz on average since 2006 has averaged 6.4% with their in-force block of business. Your clients are going to feel a lot better knowing, hey, here's the actual facts of actual policies and how they've returned. Very, very powerful. And Allianz, we are very transparent. We will share anything you need to know. But this is showing, hey, how do these things actually perform versus what is illustrated? And in our annual statements, guys, Allianz has added a feature of saying, hey, here's your return for the year. Here's how it performed versus what you actually, here's how it performed versus the illustration that was sold to you. You're actually now able to compare and see the two. Looking at some index options and bonus opportunities, right? Remember, these are guaranteed. There's 3 different options, guaranteed to be there for the life of the contract. First things first, though, let's look at what options are available to you. What allocations does Allianz offer? I mentioned an S&P that's, uncapped, that's lockable. That's great, but what else is there? Looking at the bottom, we have a fixed allocation. Our current fixed allocation is 5.4%. 5.4. That's better than some of those CDs out there right now, guys. We have an S&P 500 capped index, right? I think right now our cap on that is about 12.5%, which is pretty strong, really good. We have this S&P 500 futures index, guys. That is lockable. And the biggest thing with this is that it is uncapped. We have 0% floor guarantee, right? On the downside, you are protected. You're going to get a 0 as the worst thing you could get for the year. Now, on the upside, typically when you look at some other carriers or other indexes out there, you're going to see caps. Some of them might be 12.5% like ours, and that's good. Not gonna lie, that's a great cap. But what happens when you get a 0 one year and then you hit a cap the next? Right? Because we all know the S&P does what? It goes up and down. Might be up 30 one year, might be down 40 the next. When you're capped out at say 10%, you get a 0 one year and then you hit the cap at 10, your average rate of return is 5. You're behind the 8 ball. You need to be able to have some of your cash value in an index that is allowing you to run when the market runs. It is very important. Because if you get capped out at 10 on a year that the S&P might have been up 30, it's a big difference. Because next year you might get a 0 again. Now what? Now you're really behind the 8 ball. But if you have an uncapped S&P index, you get 0 one year, and let's say it does 30 the next, guess what? You get 30 that year. You are not stopped out at 10 or 12.5. Now guess what? Those 2 years, a 0 and a 30, your average rate of return is what? 15%. You illustrated 6. You had a year of 0, and over 2 years, your average rate of return is 15%. That is powerful. That is how these things can really, really perform. Is stop putting governors on them. Let these things hum. Let these things do what they're supposed to do. And let them ride when the market rides. You have a guaranteed floor of 0. Why would you not want to be in an index that's going to take off and go when the S&P goes? This is a VUL, guys, with a floor. That is extremely powerful. That gives your clients a lot of confidence. I wish I could put my 401k into one of these things. Knowing I got downside protection with unlimited upside, and it's lockable, all day. Sign me up. We got 3 other different indexes, guys. We got some volatility controlled indexes. These are great, right? These are those little safer plays, right? Hitting those singles and doubles. Goes between bonds, equities, and cash based on volatility. Now we have a really nice blended index, right? You got that 60% equity and that 40% bond ratio. One thing I'll note, guys, remember what I said, the name of the game is what? Flexibility. Your clients get to make choices. They get to decide how this works. You can have literally a percent of your cash value into every single option you see on the screen. If your client for some reason said, hey, I love them all. Great. Let's put a percentage into each one. No problem. And every year they get to change. Hey, I'm really terrified of the markets. We've got tariffs. We got uncertainty, World War III, yada, yada, yada. No problem. Let's go into the fixed allocation, make 5.4% this year. Next year, everything got settled. Everything looks great and rosy. Awesome. Let's go into an uncapped S&P 500. Or do a blend. Hey, let's do half in the fixed and half in an uncapped S&P. Fantastic. Every year, you sit down with your client. Hey, Client, how do you feel about the market? And let's allocate accordingly. Every single year you get to make that decision and make those choices. Flexibility, guys, name of the game. Here they are. You know, the one thing I like to look at with this slide, guys, if you look down here to about the fifth or sixth one down on the left-hand side, lockable. Lockable. The only index that we offer that is not lockable is our capped S&P 500. So when you think Allianz, you think flexibility, you think taking out, your cash with very, efficient loan structures. You also think, hey, lockable. Your client has the ability to lock in profits before their anniversary. Huge, huge. And it becomes something fun for you and your clients to share in. And what I mean by that is what a fun phone call for you to make to your client. Hey, remember that Allianz IUL that we did? Well, we're 6 months in. You still got 6 months till your anniversary. We illustrated 6. You're actually at a 12% rate of return right now. We still got 6 months to go. Volatility looks like it's kind of picking up. You want to lock in that 12% for the year? They're going to go, what? What are you talking about? Yeah. You can lock in 12 and not worry about the next 6 months. And your client on their annual statement is going to see a 6% rate or a 12% rate of return, excuse me. So Allianz, lockable, 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 lockable. Look at that. Bonus options, guys. We got 3 different bonus options. We got classic, we got bonus, and then we got the select. Remember, all guaranteed. These are all going to be there for the life of the contract. So when your client takes this out, those 3 options that you see on that screen are going to be there. Let's discuss them real quick. We got the classic. It says a 1% guaranteed flat rate bonus. Now what that means, I know that I mentioned we have a 0% guaranteed floor. Well, with this option, that floor actually increases to a positive 1%. Yes, you heard me right. The worst they would do would be a positive 1%. So when the market's down 1,500 points and everyone thinks the world's ending, you can call your client and say, hey, that Allianz IUL, the worst you're going to get this year is a positive 1. They're going to go, what are you talking about? The S&P is down 35%. How am I going to get a positive gain? Well, that's how we did it, sir. You don't think you're going to get some referrals with that? We offer a bonus option. This is a multiplier now. So with that flat rate bonus, guys, any positive return, you add 1% to it. Add. So if they get a 10, you add 1%, they actually get 11. They get a 0, add 1, they get a positive 1. Multipliers are different. That is multiplied by that. And 0 is the floor. There is no positive floor with the bonus or select option. It's 0. Still guaranteed to be that 0. So the bonus option is a 15% multiplier. So you get a 10%, multiply that by 1.15. Your client gets an 11.5% rate of return. So a little bit higher than that classic. Then we offer a select option, which is a 40% multiplier. It does have a 1% asset charge. 1% asset charge, 40% multiplier. So that same example, if you get a 10% rate of return, multiply that by 1.4, your client gets a what? They get a 14% on their annual statement. So you can see here all these options available to them. And remember, what have I been saying this whole time? Flexibility. They can choose any of these, all of these, and make changes every year. You can see on this previous slide, if you look down at the bottom, bonus options, classic, select, bonus. They are available on all of those indexes minus the S&P with the cap. So when your client says, hey, I love that classic, let's do a little S&P on cap, no problem. But I also really like this volatility Bloomberg, and I like that select multiplier. Let's do a percent in that. Perfect. You can do that. 50% in the classic S&P and 50% in the PIMCO select. And every year they get to make the change if they want to. This is just a nice way of saying, hey, because they're going to ask you, what do you recommend? And you can, essentially put this at them and say, well, you tell me how you feel. You think these things are going to do greater than 6? Mathematically speaking, that 40% multiplier makes a lot of sense. You're worried about the market and the 0% floor is not good enough for you? Awesome. Let's do a 1% floor. And every year you get to change. You literally do a percentage into every single option on the screen. talk about my personal favorite feature that Allianz offers, the index lock, the game changer, the unicorn, if you will. So Allianz rolled this out in 2019. I got this from the annuity side. So if you're familiar with our Allianz annuities, you already are familiar with this and can probably teach this better than me. But Allianz said, hey, what if we took this feature and applied it to the life side? What if we gave the clients the control and ability to lock in profits? And now that you have that ability. So on typical IUL, as you guys know, you got your beginning date, you got your end date, subtract the difference of that index, and that's what they get. You hope and pray that at the end of the year, it's a positive rate of return. 2018 is a very classic example of how having the rate lock would have changed a lot of people's years. 2018, the first 3 quarters of the year, the markets literally went straight up. I think we were at like 20%. SP was at 20%. And then Q4 came and everyone said, well, man, we're going to have a Santa Claus rally. We're going to finish at 35% in the S&P. And what happened? It was the opposite. And the markets tanked. People that were hitting taps, people that were expecting, 10s and 12s and 14s, Q4 came and said, that's funny. Here you go. You actually get a 2 or a 3 or a 4. And so with this rate lock feature, guys, you get to a rate of return your client likes, boom, lock it in. We have for 2 different rate lock options. We have a manual rate lock and an auto lock. Manual rate lock, you track it, you watch it, make a phone call, go online, press a button, lock it in. No problem. That's great. It's awesome. Some people love it because they love to track it. They want to look at it every week, every month, whatever it may be. No problem. We rolled out an auto lock feature a couple of years ago that says, well, what if we gave the clients the ability to actually set it and forget it? What if they could just type in an upper threshold number? If that index gets to that rate of return, it automatically locks in for them. And they have that ability. Your clients, if a policy goes in force today, they can say, hey, if this gets to 10 or 12 or 15, I want it just to auto lock. And it will. If it gets up to that rate of return, it will automatically lock in for you. You do not have to do anything. Very powerful. And every year, if you have a 15 in there, you don't have to next year go, oh, I better make it, I got to go and re-put that auto lock in there. It'll automatically have that for the following year. But Allianz took this a step further this year. And Allianz said, that's great for the upside. Fantastic. We have 0 floors or 1% floor, but what if we gave the clients the ability to start to hedge? And what I mean by that, guys, is what if we gave them the ability to have a lockable on the downside? What if you forget to go set an auto lock or you forget to go do a manual lock and you're at a 12 and you're like, oh my gosh, I forgot. What if you had the downside protection? So Allianz rolled out at the end of last year, essentially lower threshold lock or lower target lock. And what I love about this, because you're going to get this question within our product, is what do I set my auto lock upper threshold number at? And what more and more people are starting to do, because people had set it at 10 or 12, and that's fantastic, right? If you're having client phone calls and they're going, man, I wish I didn't lock in at 12, I'd say you're winning. I'd say that's a great phone call to get. Versus, hey, I was at 12, I got a 2 for the year. What the heck's going on? Right? If people are calling you, talking about locking in profits too soon, that's a win. That's a great conversation. Those are conversations you would take on every single day. But what more people are starting to do now with this lower lock threshold is say, hey, I'm just going to start to increase my floor as the index ticks up. So follow me with that. So what I mean is you have a 0 or 1% floor now. Index goes to 6. You can actually add a lower lock target and say, hey, if this drops to 3, I want it to lock. So now all of a sudden you're saying, hey, 3% is worst case scenario. Now the index, they check it the next month, it's at 10. Raise that floor from a 3 to a 5 or a 6. Now they know 6% is the worst I can do. Then they check it again, and now that index is at 15. Now they raise that lower lock from a 6 to a 10 or 11. Now they know the worst they're going to do is 10 or 11. And essentially, guys, they are chasing up the return. Right? So now if that index if the S&P does do a 30% rate of return, they're just chasing it up. They're not putting in a lock on the upside and stopping themselves out. So we're seeing more and more people utilize that. because it's extremely powerful. Now you can literally, you're chasing up your gains. It's fantastic. If the market goes up to 20 and you go, hey, 15 is my worst I'm going to do, I'd say they're pretty happy. I'd say you're doing well. That's a win. Now, with this rate lock feature rolled out in 2019, I showed you that the average in-force rate of return is 6.4% of our in-force block of business since 2006. On over 30,000 policies that have utilized the rate lock feature, that average locked-in rate, guys, is 9.8%. Think about that. Our average is 6.4. With the rate lock, you're almost at 10%. So think of the power that you are giving this thing. The greatest locked-in rate that we have today or ever since 2019 is a 24.9%. As you remember, guys, some of these indexes, a lot of them, uncapped on the upside. So someone actually locked in a positive 24.98% that they saw in their actual annual statements. So on over 30,000 policies. It's incredible, and it's powerful, and your client has it, and it's guaranteed to be there forever. They get to make those choices. You get to have those phone calls if you want. You can run reports. You can have Levinson send you reports of saying, hey, you got 6 clients that are at 7% or higher. That's amazing. Why don't you make a phone call? Those are fun phone calls to make. That makes you look like a rock star. Hey, you're at 7%. Do you want to lock it in? No, but let's raise my floor from 0 to 4. Perfect. Or let's put an auto lock on the upside at 20. Let's hope it gets there. Great. Those are fun phone calls. Those are the conversations you want to start to build with your clients. Those are the things you want to be able to do. And it's just another lever in retirement, right? Because you had an idea, you brought a new product to them, you brought just a different way of thinking to them with this idea. And now all of a sudden they're going to start to talk to their friends and their neighbors and their family, and they're like, well, yeah, people are going to be like, man, this market, it's crazy. It just got crushed today. And they're going to, how'd you do? Bill will be like, well, yeah, I got hit here, but guess what? I got money over here, and guess how that did? It's protected. I'm going to get a 1% if the market's down 40, positive. They're going to go, what are you talking about? Tell me more about this thing. How do you pull money out of it? Oh, you can guaranteed 5%. Are you kidding me? It's a game changer, guys. And I'm not saying we got to reinvent the wheel. I'm not saying they got to go sell their 401k and brokerage accounts and put in $1 million into these things at all. That's not at all. I mean, reach out to Levinson. They'll tell you designs that they're seeing that they're selling. It doesn't have to be crazy. These premiums don't have to be insane amounts of money for these things to do what they're supposed to do. And the target premiums that you get paid on, we're the best in the business. Run a benchmark, compare us to any carrier when it comes to targets doing the exact same design. Allianz will be at the top 2 every single time because we want to make sure you get paid for the work you're doing. Not easy. It's a long process. You need to get paid right, and Allianz make sure that you do. So quick rules within this lock. I mean, these are questions that we've gotten since I obviously rolled this feature out. You can lock and unlock same day before the market closes. Right? So if your client's like, hey, I'm going to manually lock it at 10 a.m., he locks it at 12, and he goes, oh, I just had good news from the Fed at 2 p.m. I think the market's really going to take off. They can cancel that lock before market closes. Once market is closed, that lock is in, and it's set. So very, like I said, just basic rules. You can unlock same day before market closes. Obviously, you can't lock in a 0%. I'm not sure why anybody would. I don't even know why we have that on here, but it's there. And online, guys, they can go in and access that and do it. They can make changes. They can add auto lock targets, up or lower, whatever they want to do. If they have a manual lock in, let's say they have an auto lock at 12. They log online, they're at 11%. They can cancel that auto lock and manually lock in that 11% if they want to. Because what's the name of the game? Flexibility, control. Your clients doing what they want to do with these things. They're not set in stone. They get to have fun with it, do what they want to do with it. So lastly, guys, we'll just touch on some digital tools. We got some awesome tools to use. Reach out to Levinson if you want to get access to these. If you ever want to do any kind of in-depth webinars with these, We got backcasting tools. The allocation, that one's really cool because this really, when it comes to this slide, guys, it's kind of what I talked about, right? Where you sit down with your client and you say, hey, tell me how you feel about the markets this coming year. And they tell you, you can actually use this tool and it'll plug in different market scenarios that the client's telling you. And it'll say, well, based on what they're saying, here's the best allocation options for that type of market. I think it's a bear market, bull market, a up and down market, a flat market. That tool will help you say, well, based on these different market scenarios that your client's saying, these are the best allocation options. And then they can make that decision. Right? You want your clients on board with everything, right? You want them to understand what's going on. You want them to understand how these things work, but you'll also want them excited. I mean, how exciting is it for them to know, hey, I'm protected on the downside, I'm unlimited upside potential, I can borrow at rates better than banks, and every year I can change? That's incredible. You think if you go to a bank with one of these IULs that's protected on the downside and pledge that as collateral on a loan, you think they're not going to love that? I've heard that scenario done many, many times. Or they pull it out themselves. They just take out the cash value, they borrow against it because they know they can't get that rate better. And now they're their own quote unquote banker. Powerful. This is not like Bill said at the beginning, guys. These things are changing. This IUL chassis is so much different. This is an iPhone. This is a smartphone. This is not a flip phone. This is not a dial phone. These things are designed to do a lot of things and a lot more than just a typical, oh, that's just life insurance. No. You haven't heard me once today talk about death benefit, have you? Not one time. And we're talking life insurance. When you think life insurance, everyone thinks death benefit. I didn't mention death benefit at all. And I've been talking for 45 minutes, probably too long. Not one time. That's the beauty of these IUL chassis and policies, guys. This death benefit is great. It is still a life insurance policy at the end of the day. And yes, you are taking care of your loved ones. God forbid something happens to them. There is an awesome death benefit attached to these that loved ones will get tax-free. That is amazing. But in the meantime, enjoy it. Have fun with what these things can do. It's amazing. This is not just a life insurance policy. In fact, it's far from. This is another lever in retirement that you need to start talking to your clients about. You've set them up really well. You've done all the other things. That is amazing. Now's the time to sit down and say, hey, you're set. You're doing great. We've got another thing we should really look at doing to make this whole thing just all come together. It's a beautiful thing. We have a lot of awesome tools. One thing I'll note is we have accelerated underwriting up to $3 million. So I will say one thing about death benefit right there. $3 million death benefit or lower, your client could get approved without needing medical records, without needing an exam. They just have to do a phone history interview. They can do that electronically or over the phone. So they can literally be at home watching Netflix, and they can just log online and do this EPHI and see if they get approved. Up to $3 million. That's a lot. They could instantly get approved. We're talking submit an app Monday. We could have an approval by Thursday. Maybe even Wednesday. For Bill, maybe even Tuesday. So very, very powerful. We're seeing more and more people get approved with accelerated underwriting. We're seeing more people utilizing this because they're saying, hey, I don't want to wait 3 months to have to get a policy put in force. And I agree. Really take advantage. Like I said, guys, high level. I'm going to stop here. Next week at the Levinson Expo, I will be there. And I'll be going over actual case studies. I'll be doing a little more in-depth. You'll see this S&P Futures Index. You're going to see how that compares to the S&P. You're going to go the exact same thing. And instead of either or, it's both and. It's my little blip for next week, guys. So awesome. I really appreciate the time. Thank you. If there's any questions, Bill, let me know. I do want to make sure you guys have your time to do what you got to do here at the end. But thank you, guys, and hopefully I see most of you next week. Bill, can't wait to see you again, my friend, in person. But thank you guys so much.
We appreciate you, Eric. Great job, as always. What we're going to do, I know we had a lot of questions, comments come in. We're answering most of them in real time. For anything that we didn't reply to, we'll circle back as soon as we wrap up. And then we can always patch in Eric on a conference call or whatever is needed. So once again, just reach out to the marketing department, and everybody's comfortable with Allianz and all the tools and illustration software. Okay, let's jump right in here. What I want to talk about is getting started. If you, let's say, have an Allianz contract, maybe it's not with Levinson. I know most of you are, but if you're not, we match or beat your existing commission, plus you get free orphan leads with your first paid app, or cash for contracting, you get to pick. Okay, so if you're already appointed, you move over to Levinson. Again, most of the time we beat your existing comp plus free leads or cash. On the bottom center there. Also, once you're active, then you can pick up the phone, call JC, and he can help you with the co-branded ads, marketing pieces, anything that's in our co-branded library, and then you're off to the races. Let's go to the next slide here. What we put together, and this is for all agents, all products, carriers, is an IUL learning center. And this is important, even if you're, and we spoke about this a few times, if you're a younger, greener agent, or you've been doing this for 40 years, it doesn't matter. With all the changes, especially lately, you need to keep your finger on the pulse, especially when it comes to the latest and greatest IUL, the bullets, the rate lock features, the living benefits. So we have all in one section. We have videos. Think about this: YouTube training videos, podcast episodes. We have Joe Ross. He did his butterfly chart. We did that on a podcast and a YouTube video. Anyway, the sky is the limit when it comes to various sales ideas for you to get the word out. So your customer says, hey, Billy, Shelly, Johnny, I want to hear more. I want a quote, okay? Or tell me what this is all about, okay? Then it's up to you. But we have everything that you need to at least start the conversation, including our IUL prospecting books. And we had a few messages come in, I saw, and they said, hey, send me the book, send me the book. So as long as you're an active agent and you leave a review, and I mentioned this earlier, on our Google reviews page or on our Levinson Facebook page, you're in. That's it. You get the IUL prospecting book on us. Okay, let's keep moving forward. Now, I know today was all about Allianz, and they are the number one selling product. We all know that, right? But we also need to make sure we have all corners covered when it comes to you being the agent calling in and saying, hey, Bill, I have a customer, maybe they're foreign national, maybe they're height and weight challenged, whatever the case is. We need to have the best of the best. So when you go back to your client, you are presenting the hands down best product available, okay? And you need to be comfortable in trusting the Levinson marketing team to do that for you. So with that said, you're going to see three other great IUL options, okay? Now, of course, the Allianz IULs is our go-to. But in some cases, we also like LSW, National Life Group, has some great living benefits. They're also hosting our living benefits certification course, again, which is complimentary as long as you're appointed with Levinson and LSW. Just under that, Emeritus now, yes, they've always had a great IUL, but now you have access to both sides. So the career channel and the brokerage channel. Now it's all one channel with Levinson. So we can get you set up with all of their products, not just the IUL or the term. Okay, now it's everything. I think there's like 13 products now. On the bottom, Columbus Life, another great option. They have a Table 3 table shave program. Okay, that's a big deal because, again, think about you have a client, height and weight challenged, whatever, insulin diabetic, that's controlled, and they're coming in table 1, 2, 3. Okay, now with Columbus, you're giving them a standard, probably beating the competition by 20, 30, in some cases 50% to give you a very placeable offer. So you have to be able to pivot. Okay, I think I said that word 6 times, right? Because now it's a different world and you have to know, whoa, this carrier, this product shines here, and for this specific client, I have to go over there. And if you don't know all of the options and where to go for what, again, just rely on our marketing team. We have 11 people in 4 states. okay, to help you. So you're going to be 100% comfortable, okay? And if not, you let me know. Let's keep moving forward. What I want to talk about next, and this is a great program, another differentiator for you out in the field. I mean, let's be honest, right? There's a million agents in this country that are life and health on the independent channel, and you need those separators, right? So this is a program that's free for you and it's free for the client. It's a win-win-win across the board. And you offer the children, the grandchildren, any blood relative, niece, nephew, this 1 year free scholarship, period. Okay. And there's no charge for this activation fee. If you're a Levinson agent and you're appointed with any of those carriers on the right hand side and you sell a new product, okay, that client or insured gets this program. It's direct to consumer, self-enroll link. It's very easy. We can walk you through it. JC can help you with this as well. And here's what's so cool. Think about this. If you've been with Allianz for 7 years, right, and you just moved the contract over to Levinson, not only can you enroll the new clients insured, right? Think about this. You can go to your entire book of business that bought Allianz IUL products from you and say, hey, Johnny, Shelly, Shirley, Michelle, great news. Since I'm a Sage Levinson approved agent, I can give you this free scholarship program because you bought an Allianz IUL 6.5 years ago. What do you think they're going to say? They're going to say, oh my gosh, they're going to look at you like Superman or Superwoman. And that's the perfect time to ask for referrals. Do you know anyone else that could use my services? Okay, that's being scrappy. You got to leverage the tools and platforms that we pay for, okay, to get your foot in the door to make more sales. Okay, it's not difficult once you get your arms around it, and we're here to help you do that. All right, anyway, let's keep moving forward. I want to get everyone out in a minute or two. These are 3 great performing social media posts focused on just IUL. Remember I spoke about it earlier? Go into Facebook, go into Instagram, put in Index Universal Life. You can choose recent posts or top performing. I always like top performing. And then you don't have to reinvent the wheel, change a few spokes, okay? Look at these 3 images. Not difficult. They created over 300 likes and over 20 comments. That's 20 free leads you can reach out to, okay? And even just one is a win because it's one more than you had yesterday. So I think you get the point. Let's keep moving. Bill Levinson Experience Podcast. This was my last episode, 56, with Grant Z. Now, here's what's so awesome with Grant. He's a young guy, only 30 years old. He's only been in the business 3-4 years. He wrote Orphan Lead, and it was like 60,000-70,000 of premium. He's got a premium finance case in that's just under $1 million, doing a fantastic job. Okay, by the way, his number one go-to carrier is at Allianz. And I know he's listening right now, so too, which is great. Kudos, Grant. Anyway, check out that podcast. It's complimentary on all your favorite channels. And then on the left-hand side, that is our most streamed episode since I started this podcast, which was about, 8-9 years ago now. So check that out when you can. It will be in the thank you email. These are our upcoming training events. And then you're going to see bolded on the bottom in reflex blue, 17th annual Agent Expo around the corner next Friday. Don't forget to RSVP. You got to do it by tomorrow. So again, just dedicate next Friday to the Levinson Expo. You'll walk away with a briefcase full of gold nuggets. I promise you. Okay. And I'll be there in person. So if that's not the case, you let me know because we did something wrong. Anyway, upcoming webinars. That's what you're looking at in light blue. And then our final slide here. And then we'll have our question of the day. I know I'm 2 minutes over. I apologize. Left-hand side is my quote. I don't think most people realize how difficult it is to bounce back after hitting a bottom. If you've done this before or you're going through this now, keep fighting and be so proud of yourself. The point is never give up. I don't care if it's personal, business, all the above. Okay? The sky is the limit. And it's the way you look at things, right? It's not always what's happening outside of your control, but it's the way you look at it, the way you dissect what's going on, okay? So anyway, keep your right foot on the gas. And I mean, we've proven the concept as an IMO, and I know you can do it as an agent as long as you stay persistent and consistent every single day. That's why I'm having Mike Savage as one of the keynote speakers, right? Because you can have the best products in the world. If your head's not in the right place, it's going to do you no good. So we're going to cover all corners with our keynotes, okay? And that was the whole point. Life, annuity, and then Tony Robbins' right-hand mic. Anyway, we'll see you at the expo. My question of the day, get your little fingers on the keyboard because you got to be quick and you got to be accurate. Question is, how many core carriers are presenting at this year's Levinson Expo? How many Levinson companies are presenting at this year's Levinson Annual Agent Expo, which is next Friday? I know you probably heard 32 times already, but that's okay because we're going to see you there face to face. I know it. Tell me the answer. How many carriers at our expo? You win.
We already have a winner. That was quick.
Okay, who was it?
Terumi N.
Terumi N. Congrats, Apple iWatch prospecting book on us. And then even if you didn't win, post something on our Google reviews page or Levinson Facebook page, or just show up next Friday and you'll be a winner, okay? Because you're going to stay till the end and the chances of you getting something are very high. So, and everyone's a winner because you're walking away with that briefcase of gold nuggets. Have a great rest of your Thursday, great rest of the week, great weekend, great selling next Friday, 8:45 a.m. Thanks again.